Hey friends, how you doing? Welcome back to my channel. It is TheTranspondster here with you today, and in theme of spooky season, Halloween, October, we are here building a haunted house today. I am actually building this for a Discord server challenge. I do one of these every month or so, depending on if we end up doing one or not in the Discord. But for the most part, it's once a month that I've been doing it. And it's just a fun little push me out of my comfort zone kind of thing for me to do. I would have ended up getting to building a haunted house at some point anyways, because this is going to be for my save file, but it felt very fitting to do at this time of year. So here we are. I hope you enjoy. I am building in Forgotten Hollow. That also felt fitting. It's the world that came with the vampires pack. Moonwood Mill would have been a good option too, but they're both really small. Who am I kidding? I was going to say it's a little smaller, but they're both very small worlds, which honestly speaking is somewhat okay for me because I'm not a huge occult player. So for the occult worlds to be a little bit on the smaller side, I don't mind too much, but I know it's always nice to get more lots in the worlds because honestly, I almost didn't even have a lot to put this haunted house on because there's only 3 lots that aren't filled with a household of vampires. So you're pretty limited when it comes to putting in other families and community lots. It's kind of one or the other. I'll be putting one community lot in this world. It's going to be a vampire bar, but other than that, it's just this haunted house and probably one other house that's going to end up in Forgotten Hollow because that's all that this world can fit, and that's pretty sad. Moonwood Mill is equally sad in size as well. I did fiddle around quite a bit when it came to the window placement. I couldn't quite get the right height. It took a little moving up and down a few times to get it where I wanted it. I felt like it either looked good on the inside or the outside, but not both. So I did pick inside versus outside this time. Usually I do the other way around, but it just looked a little awkward with the height of the window from the inside, so it made more sense to do it that way. I also struggled to find a window that fit in the theme for this top part. I kind of picked the best option that I had. I feel like some CC would have helped make this build a little spookier feeling, but I'm pretty stuck in my ways of going CC free on this channel. I'm definitely not closed off forever, and I've definitely done CC in my shorts, and even I think a cast sim I did CC in. Obviously a create a sim would be a sim, but you know what I'm trying to say. I also used only the trees with no leaves in this build, and obviously that's kind of fitting for a haunted house, a very deadly themed. It's a little hard to make it spooky with what you have in the game, and I ended up probably making this a fairly limited pack build. It might have gotten a little pack heavy towards the end in terms of clutter, but realistically speaking, you could definitely download this home and have it fully usable. You just might be missing some clutter options from some of the more smaller niche kits, stuff packs, and whatnot. So it's not that big of a deal, in my opinion, to download if you don't have all of them. And you can always on the gallery click each pack, like the little tiny icon, and it'll show you exactly what items I used in the build, and you can determine if it's worth it or not for yourself. Given that Forgotten Hollow is based in Transylvania, Romania, so it's definitely European and traditional and very old architecture, so that's kind of the inspiration behind this haunted house. But to be honest, I did just kind of look up haunted houses on Google, and I picked one I liked the outside shape of and didn't think it would be too difficult to build, and went from there because I wanted to make sure that I got this build done in time for Halloween and edited and uploaded and all that jazz. So I definitely made it because here we are with this video, but I didn't go super intricate. I feel like I could have done a really detailed haunted house that would have taken me all month to build, and it would have been really pretty, but that is a future me project and not a current me project. I am struggling a little bit to maintain my upload loose schedule that I have for myself, so I just kept it a little bit more on the simple side, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I focused on using vampires, Realm of Magic, and the Paranormal stuff pack, because that's the pack that the haunted house lot type comes with, and I wanted to get that seance table in here, which also comes in that paranormal stuff pack. I also utilized a lot of these wall items, the cracks, the water stains, the wallpaper tears. I don't typically use those little details, but this is the perfect build to do so, because obviously it would be a little dirty, a little dusty, a little cobwebby, and I think it fit the bill with how it decorated, as you could say, with those cobwebs and whatnot. So yeah, I am happy with how it turned out, and I did have to kind of fiddle around with the window in the bathroom there, so unfortunately we did lose it in order to use the toilet from the vampire pack, but I don't know, it felt kind of worth it for me. I wasn't super fond of the window coverings in the vampire pack, so I used them in the front room of the house, but other than that, I did save curtains to use from the other packs. I ended up using a decent chunk of the Werewolf game pack, and then you know what, maybe a little bit of eco lifestyle, because I got the dumpster in there, some trash piles. I used a little bit of Strangerville when it came to some finer details. There's some canisters that end up being outside, but like I said, nothing too crazy from all those other packs. So really, if you have a lot of the occult stuff in your game, you're more than fine to download this haunted house and have it fully functional for you. So other than this desk, because I don't actually put a desk chair slotted into it, it is right in front of it, but it is placed with move objects and alt, so it's not actually a desk that you can sit and work at unless you go into build by and just slot the chair at the desk yourself. Sorry, but that's a simple enough fix for you guys, I would say. The floor plan I did keep mostly traditional. I felt like having a closed off floor plan was the way to go with a house like this. Open floor plans are a modern feel in my mind. It's more common nowadays than it was in homes built back in the 1900s. I feel like rooms had more of a purpose, whereas now they're very multifunctional. A living room's a playroom, a dining room. You can see your kitchen from the couch. So yeah, it's very different build types today versus then. So I do like flashing back to the then types of builds because it just feels a little bit more elegant, honestly. It feels more purposeful, and I kind of like things that have a purpose. I used to think I was very fast-paced, city girl, modern living, minimalist style, but I am very much the opposite. I like my maximalism. more so in the sense that I like a lot of things around me that speak to me and my personality. So, not maximalist in the crazy pattern sense, but maximalist in the having stuff around that just shows my personality a little bit. So, yeah, that's my style. I also like a little bit more closed off, not so much in the living space, but yeah, I like more purposeful living. So, anyway, if you even care to know that, I did use a little bit of horse ranch too, it looks like, but again, nothing too crazy, a couple clutter items. I found this ghost gnome that I didn't even know we had, and I kind of love it. And these pumpkins from the spooky stuff pack, that is the one that I forgot to mention. I used a small chunk of stuff from that pack. I got the candy bowl. I thought that was a fun little touch. I don't put that in like any builds, so it felt fitting in a haunted house to spook the trick-or-treaters a little bit. I also never put cauldrons in a build, but if you're going to have a cauldron, it's going to be at the haunted house. There's going to be witches and vampires and warlocks and all of the fun, scary creatures. And of course, we had to get Patchy off to the left here with a pumpkin patch, and I get a cow plant in here. I was slightly inspired to try and find as many objects that could cause death as I could, but this koi pond thing from Get Famous didn't quite fit anywhere. Instead, I put a big bonfire, which I know isn't really a death object, but hey, it's another fire starting object, so maybe the chance of your sim burning to death is increased because they decided to have a bonfire one night and the fire decided it needed more fuel to keep on burning. Maybe a little morbid for a Sims channel. Sorry, guys. I don't stop with the pumpkins there. Don't worry. I do go a little bit more pumpkin heavy towards the end of my cluttering. Now I'm just trying to find all the kind of shabby, worn down items. I do use a good amount of stuff, I want to say, from the basement treasures kit. A lot of that stuff looks like secondhand, worn down furniture, so it felt fitting to find in a home that is questionably abandoned. I am going to actually have a sim that moves in here that's going to have the backstory of being an aspiring medium and feels like she is ambitious enough to come and figure out what's going on in this rumored haunted house in town. So yeah, and surprise, surprise, she's going to find out all of her neighbors are blood-sucking vampires, so watch out there because she is going to be a mortal human being and very tasty in their eyes. I'm sure she'll have Laddie Daddy standing on her front porch many nights. And not for fun reasons, for more of dinner plans. I was at this point really, really forcing myself to find anything that felt like it could fit in a haunted home. For the lighting, I went very old school. We have candlelit rooms galore. I think all of them actually are lit by candle, and low-key I kind of like it. I would absolutely light every room in my own home by candle if I didn't have this wacky mindset that it makes my house hotter, so I don't light candles in every room. Also, it feels a little dangerous to have that much open flame going. Not that it's a crazy flame coming out of a candle, but, you know, if you've got one in every room, especially when you have cats that wag their tails through anything and everything, I feel like a tail would find a candle somewhere in the house. I used the mirrors from Vampire the vampire pack. I wanted to say the vampire stuff pack, but it's a game pack. And they are like almost fogged over because, you know, a vampire can't see their reflection. I also put a coffin here, even though it's not going to be a vampire sim living here. It felt like a little spooky touch. I would have put it in like a basement and had a whole layer had I had a basement in this home. And at this point in the build, that was too much of an undertaking to go back and adjust the floor plan to add in a basement. So we left it as is and rolled with it. We're pretty good at doing that. I'm just going through and doing some final landscaping touches, filling it in a little bit more. But again, nothing too crazy because this is a little bit more of a rundown home. It's not going to have all the nice flower bushes. I also clued in that this wishing well from the Romantic Garden stuff pack, which was free not too long ago. I guess it's been a decent amount of time at this point, but I feel like a fair amount of people snagged it when it was free. But anyway, that wishing well recently killed one of the Sims in my legacy, my own personal one. He was actually the heir, and I had to reincarnate him through his family members. But anyway, long story short, I found out that that well will cause death to your Sims. So I added it in last minute, and I swapped out that bathtub that I didn't actually want Sims to use for the non-usable bathtub, and I feel like that was a good decision on my end. I also, near this point, clue in that there are no garbage bins, so this is when I will add the dumpster into the back of this lot, as well as a garbage bin in the kitchen, because we do need that if we have a sim living here. I also, for the first time ever, used the listening device from the Strangerville pack. I have never actually played the gameplay of Strangerville. I'm thinking I'm going to go back and do that one day for the channel. But anyway, I did put that listening device down, so I might fiddle around with it a tiny bit because I'm interested to see. The description of it said that your Sims could find out juicy gossip or something of that sort of Sims around the neighborhood. So I was like, ooh, this seems neat. I tried to fit it inside, but it did not fit, and the front porch seemed a little blatant, so I did swap it to the back porch. And I don't actually know if it's going to be an issue with it being outside. I think because the roof covers it, it should be protected from the elements, but again, I am not 100% on that one, so take my advice and placement and knowledge with a grain of salt, because in this case it comes with a grain of salt. I'm almost done cluttering up. Here's where I throw in all those pumpkins I was talking about. I had to get all of them. I'm gonna be honest, the puking pumpkin is my favorite because it does kind of have the most detail here in the game. I think it's a little corny in real life and overdone, but in The Sims, it is my favorite of the bunch. So yeah, there's that. I hope you enjoyed this build. I really enjoyed making it. This was my first haunted house that I've built in The Sims, so it was fun to do something a little different, even though it does kind of feel like just a standard home. You add these lot challenges at the end to make it as spooky as possible, and you are at haunted house level. So again, I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Show your support however you're willing, and have a wonderful day.